Imagine a world without Rome. No Colosseum, no roads stretching across Europe, no Latin shaping the languages we speak today. The very world we know would look unrecognizable. But Rome wasn't always the mighty empire etched into our imagination. It began as nothing, just a handful of huts on the banks of a river. So how did this tiny village grow into the greatest superpower the world had ever seen? Welcome to Across Time, the place where history's greatest stories come alive. If you love epic journeys through the past, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss what's ahead. Now, let's step back nearly 3,000 years to the very beginning of Rome. Our story begins not with armies or marble temples, but with a legend. Two twin brothers, abandoned infants, floating helplessly down a river, Romulus and Remus. According to the tale, they were saved by something extraordinary, a she-wolf. The beast nursed them, protected them, until a shepherd took them in and raised them as his own. The boys grew up strong, bold, and unafraid. When the time came to build a city, they returned to the very place where fate had spared them, the 7 hills beside the Tiber. But ambition has a cost. The brothers fought bitterly over who would lead this new city. The quarrel ended in blood. Romulus struck down his twin, and from that moment the city bore his name, Rome. It's a brutal beginning, but it tells us something about the Romans. From the very start, their story is about struggle, ambition, and survival at any price. Rome was not destined to be gentle. It was destined to endure. Forget the grand images of emperors and palaces. Early Rome was nothing like that. Picture mud huts with straw roofs, farmers bent over fields, shepherds guiding their flocks through rough hills, wooden fences trying and often failing to keep out raiders. This was not an empire. It was a fragile village trying to survive in a dangerous world. And yet within this fragile shell lay something powerful: discipline. The Romans believed the gods rewarded duty and punished laziness. Boys were taught to work, to obey, to fight. Their lives were simple, but their values were unshakable: loyalty, resilience, and sacrifice for the community. When other tribes collapsed after defeat, Rome adapted. When others gave up, Rome rose again. Every loss became a lesson. Every setback a stepping stone. Rome grew. Kings came to rule, each shaping the city. They built temples, dug sewers, and expanded the settlement. But the Romans had a problem with kingship. To them, one man holding all the power was dangerous. And so, in the late 6th century BCE, they overthrew their last king and swore never again. In his place, they built something new: the Republic. Power was now shared between elected officials called consuls, guided by the Senate. No king, no crown, just laws, debates, and balance. It was messy, but it was revolutionary. Yet outside Rome's walls, enemies circled like wolves. To the north, the Etruscans, masters of architecture and ritual. To the south, Greek colonies with rich culture and advanced armies. Around them, tribes of Latins and Sabines. Rome was surrounded. If it wanted to survive, it would have to fight, and fight it did. The early centuries of the Republic were soaked in war. The Romans battled Etruscan kings, crushed rival Latin cities, and defended themselves against invasion after invasion. Even when Gauls stormed into the city around 390 BCE, burning and looting, the Romans refused to stay down. They rebuilt brick by brick, stronger than before. Rome learned something that would define it forever. Survival was not about avoiding defeat, but about rising from it. But Rome's true genius was not just in war. It was in what came after. When Rome conquered a city, it didn't always destroy it. Instead, it offered a deal: join us. Share our roads, our markets, our gods. Fight in our armies, and one day your children might call themselves Romans. This was Rome's secret weapon: citizenship. Imagine you're a soldier from a small Italian town. You fight Rome, you lose. But instead of exile, Rome invites you in. Suddenly you march with Roman legions, wear Roman armor, live under Roman law.
You are part of something larger than your old village, something greater than your tribe. Rome didn't just conquer lands, it conquered hearts and identities. With every war, Rome's influence spread. The Samnite wars were some of the toughest, fought against fierce mountain tribes who knew every inch of the terrain. These wars dragged on for decades, full of ambushes and desperate sieges. But Rome adapted. It restructured its armies, built stronger roads, and pressed on. Victory wasn't fast, but it was inevitable. Then came a new challenger, Pyrrhus of Epirus, a Greek king with war elephants, animals the Romans had never faced before. At first, Pyrrhus won stunning victories. His elephants terrified Roman troops, trampling through their lines. But the victories came at a cost. So many of his men fell that he famously declared, "Another victory like this, and I am undone." That's where we get the term Pyrrhic victory. Rome lost battles, but Pyrrhus lost the war. In the end, the Greeks retreated, and Rome stood unchallenged in Italy. By the 3rd century BCE, Rome had achieved what once seemed impossible. From a cluster of huts, it had become master of the Italian peninsula. Its population swelled, its armies were unmatched, its allies were bound by treaties and shared citizenship. Roads cut across the land, binding cities together, allowing soldiers and merchants to move faster than ever before. Rome wasn't just a city anymore. It was a system, a machine, an idea. But across the sea, another power was rising, Carthage. A city of traders and sailors, Carthage commanded the Mediterranean with its massive fleets. Its wealth poured in from trade routes stretching across Africa, Spain, and beyond. Where Rome's strength was on land, Carthage's was on water. These two worlds were destined to collide, and collide they did. As Rome expanded southward, its influence clashed with Carthaginian interests. Tensions flared, alliances were tested, and soon war broke out. These would be the Punic Wars, some of the bloodiest, most dramatic conflicts of the ancient world. Wars that would bring elephants over the Alps, battles that would nearly destroy Rome, and victories that would make it the ruler of the Mediterranean. From a village of mud huts to the master of Italy, Rome had already achieved the impossible. But the story was only just beginning. Ahead lay enemies more powerful than any it had faced, challenges that would push it to the brink of annihilation, and triumphs that would shape the course of human history. If you've enjoyed this journey into Rome's beginnings, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Across Time, and ring that bell so you don't miss what's next. Because in our next episode, Hannibal marches across the Alps with his elephants, Rome trembles on the edge of destruction, and the destiny of the Republic hangs in the balance. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.